My name is Yoshizawa from Prestige International Group IR. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all our stakeholders, the users of our group's services, shareholders, and everyone gathered here today. I'm grateful to have this opportunity for our earnings briefing. Now, I will move on to the specific results. First, I would like to talk about 3 key points from today's interim financial results briefing. First, thanks to your support, we have revised upward our earnings forecast for the current fiscal year, following the previous fiscal year. We expect both sales and operating income to reach record highs. We believe that this was made possible thanks to your patronage and the support of many clients. Secondly, considering the interim results, we have decided to raise the interim dividend by 0.5 yen to 5 yen. That will make our annual dividend forecast 10 yen. Lastly, our corporate group has been working on the empowerment of women for some time, and for the initiative, we have received 2 stars of Eruboshi certification from the Minister of Health, Labor, and Welfare. We will continue to actively promote women's empowerment. Before we talk about specific performance and other topics, let me first explain our revised annual performance forecast. As you see on the top, we have revised our earnings forecast for the We now forecast net sales of 53 billion yen and an operating income of 7.9 billion yen, both of which will reach record highs following the previous year. We are proud that we have overcome challenges amid the pandemic and set up a foundation for further growth. I would like to explain the status of each segment later. Next, I would like to talk about performance forecasts for each business division. Following the upward revision of the group's earnings forecast, we have also revised the earnings forecast for each business segment. Overall, strong customer business and global business are driving our performance. On the other hand, we have slightly lowered our operating income forecast for the automotive business due to recent price hikes and higher fuel costs. In the property business, we have revised downward the forecast for both sales and operating income, as we expect an increase in the parking lot management consignments and fewer facility maintenance projects than our initial forecasts. However, despite the revisions, both businesses are expected to post positive year-on-year increases in sales and profits. We in management are committed to taking responsibility for the growth of our core businesses. Now, let's move on to the results of the second quarter. First, our second quarter results show that our mainstay automotive business grew by more than 10% year-on-year. Customer business continued to expand steadily, and global business showed a clear recovery following the increase in economic activity. As a result, operating income grew by more than 25% year-on-year. We're also making steady progress toward our revised forecast for the full year. Next, I would like to show you the consolidated income statement for the second quarter. As shown in the materials, our SG&A and other expenses have been low compared to the growth in sales, and we believe that we've been managing costs well. We will continue to work on cost management with an elevated level of awareness in anticipation of rapidly rising prices and other increases in management costs. As for the next result, please refer to the materials you have for more details. Next, I would like to talk about quarterly sales trends. Although sales declined in the fiscal year ended March 31st, 2021, due to the impact of COVID-19, we have since overcome the COVID-related problem and are continuing to make steady progress in this quarter, as in the first half of the year. Thanks to your support, we've made an upward revision to our forecast, as I explained earlier. Next, I would like to explain the trends in quarterly operating income. Operating income has increased for 9 consecutive quarters, and we're on track to achieve steady growth in the future. Based on this upward revision I mentioned earlier, we expect to achieve a record high profit this fiscal year. The operating income margin is expected to remain at an extremely high level, at a projected 14.6%, also a record high. I would now like to continue with a summary of each business segment. Our group is divided into 7 business segments. Operating income, unfortunately, decreased only in the property business due to upfront investment in the expansion of service locations and systems for B2C business, which we should be engaged in moving forward. However, we expect to achieve a year-on-year increase during the fiscal year. I'll explain the details of each segment later. Next, I would like to explain the automotive business. In the automotive business, economic activities have been picking up as no more restrictions on actions have been required by the Japanese government since last October. We continued to receive an increasing number of orders and achieved double-digit growth in the second quarter. However, when we look at the future of the business, we expect to see an increase in expenses due to soaring prices and surging fuel costs. We in management will continue to focus on cost control to build a solid profit structure. One of the indicators of the automotive business is the response rate of our road services provided by our staff and franchise dealers. We are striving to expand our network in terms of the number of service bases and personnel. By category, in this business called roadside assistance, we have an increasing number of commercial vehicles as shown here. We will set up a system that can provide support in every corner of the country, and in anticipation of the shift from fuel oil engines to EVs, we will strive to enhance our fleet of vehicles for EV problem responses, as well as to innovate other technologies. Next is the property business. In the home assist business, major clients' business performance remained strong, and we were able to increase revenues thanks to excellent sales results and the leasing of condominiums, mainly in the central Tokyo area. On the other hand, operating income decreased due to upfront investment in the park assist business, including the cost of opening new business sites and system investment for the home assist B2C business, as we had planned. As an indicator of the property business, we have collected data on the number of personnel in our units providing services in the fields and their ratio. This is one of the KPIs of the property business. This is Park Assist, which is a team that supports parking lots. Please look at the materials you have for more details. Next is the global business. Our global business has been severely affected by the spread of COVID-19. We have broken away from the situation and are now on a growth trajectory. At present, the number of members and users is increasing, mainly in the healthcare program, and the business is steadily recovering. In addition, our card business in the U.S. is showing steady growth in both membership and sales. Furthermore, the recent rapid depreciation of the yen pushed up both sales and profits of our global business. Next is the customer business. In the customer business, we have seen steady growth in the operation of vaccination centers outsourced by local governments in response to the spread of COVID-19, as well as in transactions with existing clients. As we receive orders from an increasing number of new clients, we received significant growth in sales and profit. The financial guarantee business is handled by Entrust, a group company. This is the company's rent guarantee business. We also achieved higher sales and profit in the business with more contracts and many new lease properties. In the medical expense guarantee business that we launched a few years ago, we see a growing number of partner hospitals and expect it to grow further in the future. Lastly, I would like to explain our IT business and social business. Sales declined in the IT business after downsizing the contract system development business, but the supply chain management system handled by Time Commerce, a group company, shows solid performance. The business profit grew again this quarter, and we expect its continued robust performance. In the social business, it has been difficult to have spectators in sports fields amid the pandemic, but since the restrictions have been eased, we began to have more spectators. In addition, the number of children in the childcare business also increased, resulting in the growth of revenue. We successfully reduced the debt compared to last year, despite investments to strengthen our sports business. Here, we'd like to conclude the briefing of our businesses and the upward revision of the earnings forecast for the current fiscal year I mentioned at the beginning. Next, CEO Tamagami will explain our business policies and other matters. My name is Tamagami from Prestige International. Thank you for joining us today. Now, I would like to explain our future development goals based on the second quarter results presented by Yoshizawa. Our group continues to expand and sees strong demand and supply. However, we are also facing challenges, for example, in recruiting. In terms of business, I think we're on a very good trend. In such an environment, our most important investment or future development is to expand our business bases regularly, and our basic policy is to open a new BPO center every 2 years. Our strategy is to create a good working environment, hire good personnel, train and develop them over the long term, and earn the trust of our clients by holding them accountable for their work. The development of our business bases is the key to that, and we are opening new bases almost regularly, as you see on the slides. In April this year, we opened the Nikaho Center, which already has more than 200 employees, or about 50% of all our employees. Still, we need at least 300 more people across the group. In this regard, our most important strategy is to steadily expand the business bases. We believe that our automotive business will be the engine for future growth. Our key strategy moving forward is to enhance and add value to the services we have been providing to the automobile industry and non-life insurers for future changes in vehicles. In particular, the biggest change in the industry is the worldwide shift from engines to electric vehicles. As vehicles become increasingly AI intelligent, safer, and more efficient, we believe that it will be crucial that we humans keep up with such changes and provide services. For insurance companies, we provide roadside services, accident response services, and systems as part of our service menu. For automobile manufacturers, we provide value-added devices such as drive recorders, customer support, road services, and various others. We communicate with our customers to ensure they are not confused with the changes, and we give them full support in case of any problems. Well, from this point of view, we set up an environment where all manufacturers both in Japan and overseas in the industry can use our services. We would like to provide pieces of our services to insurance companies and financial institutions. In this field, we have established a new joint venture company, Premier Bright Connect, in the second half of this fiscal year. Although we value people the most in our services, we cannot have or provide enough information by people alone, or it takes time. Premier Bright Connect was established to promptly provide customers with more reliable and accurate services by combining IT technology and devices that use such technology. Premier Bright Connect is a joint venture between Premier Aid, our subsidiary we own 100% of its shares, and Ecomont, a device developer and manufacturer, where we own the majority of its shares. This is what we will continue to focus on in the automotive field. In terms of the house this time, we basically have the same strategy for the scheme. However, the objects are different. Think of it as the difference between movable property and real estate. AI and IT inevitably go into homes more, and the system will evolve. It could be good if customers could get used to these systems and use them 100%. But, of course, hardware always breaks down. Trouble will occur. Systems sometimes do not work as they're supposed to. We will continue to improve the quality of the services and increase our service menu, meeting the needs of each customer, and collaborating with other firms to provide solid support for our services. It says a major energy company. It'll be difficult for companies to expand the depth and breadth of their services if they only provide energy services. By partnering with specific service provider companies like us, such service will be added to the energy, and there will be more points of contact with customers. We are trying to make something like this together. As Yoshizawa explained earlier, in our global business, I believe the pandemic has restricted human activities, especially overseas movement for the past 2 years. Since this summer, restrictions on the movement of people have gradually eased, and we begin to see more activity. For Japanese companies and major corporations, at least, the future market will be overseas, and for overseas market development, they will inevitably go there and expand their activities there. In this respect, I think our services will become particularly important, especially in medical services. We are now more deeply involved in providing services such as interpreting, making hospital appointments, and cashless services closer to people's lives, making them safe. As one such example, we have decided to own a clinic in India. We believe that we have a responsibility to offer a place where Japanese expatriates and their families can see a doctor without language barriers when they are sick or have COVID like at this time. We strive to and will continue developing medical institutions, especially in emerging countries. We started with India, and we hope to expand our operations to Latin America and Southeast Asia in the near future. As I mentioned earlier, we have received various government certifications, and 70% of our employees are women. As Japan faces a shortage of labor force and young people, we will actively lead the support for women who go into the working field. We now have 7 daycare centers, and they are almost fully occupied. Only the one in Yokote has half the capacity still available, compared with the number of employees, but the other centers have almost reached their capacity limits. 98% of our female employees come back to work after childbirth. We hope to provide every necessary fringe benefit and service to women who want to continue working. Our group will continue to provide opportunities for skilled women to work in the communities. The figures shown here are to give you ideas, and there are things we still need to work on. The percentage of female managers is still low, especially in proportion to the total number of female employees. Although we've made significant progress with this, I think we need to continue our commitment. As a company operating in rural regions, it is our responsibility to help the communities enjoy and reinvigorate through sports. Communities must be revitalized. With this in mind, we are currently involved in women's sports programs in Akita, Yamagata, and Toyama prefectures. We are glad that the programs give us various points of contact with the communities. Sakata City has given us the title of Special Ambassador for Tourism, and we work with athletes to promote the Shonai area in Yamagata and its specialities. We have widened our cooperation, alliance, and collaboration with local governments through sports. Moving forward, we will continue such social commitments and strengthen recruitment. In terms of employment, we, of course, create employment as a company that has primary responsibility in the regions. We also hope to be at the forefront in terms of revitalization and work together for promotions. Our offices have been built in a variety of forms and concepts at various locations. Each of our bases has been built from scratch, one by one, in a way that suits the area and the local community. We have received awards this time, and our future development is to create buildings and companies that can be symbolic of the area and attract young people who see the potential in working at such a company. Another new office will open with another new concept in Ichinoseki, Iwate Prefecture in 1.5 years. 2 years later, in 2026, a new BPO center will open in Karagami, north of Akita City in Akita Prefecture. We will build an 800-seat BPO center as our base on a vast site of 88,000 square meters in Karagami City, with a daycare center, dormitories, company housing, and a cafeteria, all of which will be open to residents. A new BPO center that opened this April in Nikaho City, Akita Prefecture, has 500 seats for operations, with a cafeteria open for residents, and 20 to 30 people a day visiting it for meals or tea. As a business entity, we should continue to contribute to the local communities and expand our business in the future. In addition, we have gradually increased the dividend every year, including last year. This year, we have increased the dividend again, as our first half performance exceeded our initial plan. We will continue to aim for a dividend payout ratio as a guideline and achieve growth so that we can provide a solid return to our shareholders. This is a summary of our past performance. Thank you, everyone. That does conclude the second quarter of the fiscal year 2023, ending March 2023, Prestige International Interim Earnings Briefing. Thank you. As we explained earlier, we will now begin the Q&A session with those of you who are here. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and we will bring you the microphone. Do you have any questions? Since there are no questions from the audience, we would like to move on to questions from online participants. I will read questions from Mr. Nakagawa of Nomura Securities. 4 questions from me. Regarding the customer business, you have revised your plan upward due to the prolonged vaccine-related business. Could you please tell us about the outlook for the second half of the fiscal year and the possibility of vaccine-related business continuing through the next fiscal year? Mr. Nakagawa has asked you several questions, so would you please answer them individually? Yes, I, Yoshizawa, will answer the questions. Regarding your question about commissioned vaccine-related business, I believe it will be similar to the first half of this fiscal year in the second. However, as for the next fiscal year, we do not have a final outlook on the legislation and government actions at this point. So we assume, if the current trend continues, a gradual reduction or perhaps a decrease in the vaccine-related contract business in the next fiscal year. Therefore, we are only able to forecast until the end of this fiscal year, which is the end of March, and based on our assumptions, we have revised our business performance this time. Thank you, Mr. Nakagawa. You asked 4 questions in total. Can we go to the second question? In the automotive business, I understand that you've lowered your profit forecast due to higher costs. Why did you lower the sales forecast as well? Are there any concerns about the risk of sluggish sales growth in the second half? Also, you plan to increase the profit margin in the second half of the year compared to the first. But how do you plan to increase it in the face of higher costs? First, about the lowered profit forecast in the automotive business, we considered the current increasing costs in the forecast. As for the lower sales forecast, We don't expect sales to grow as much in the first half of the year due to higher prices and changes in consumers' awareness of energy costs. With such consideration, we have slightly lowered our sales target for the second half of the year. Thank you. The third question. Could you please tell us why the parking lots business and maintenance services in the property business fell short of the forecast, and what you will focus on for future expansion? Regarding Park Assist in the property business you mentioned, our contracted business sites increases as our client parking lot developers expand their parking lots. Our parking lots have been recovering since October last year, after dropping in number amid the pandemic. It has recovered well so far, but as I mentioned earlier, we have had to make a slight downward revision to both sales and income forecasts for the second half of this fiscal year onward in the property business because, due to the economic trends, the development of parking lot sites has not progressed as we expected. Thank you. The last question from Mr. Nakagawa. Do I understand right that the choice of candidate sites is unlikely to be a bottleneck in opening BPO centers regularly? Yes, that's correct. I would like to explain it. In terms of opening new centers, we are expanding our business in the Tohoku region. Our large base outside of Tohoku is only in Toyama, and we would like to continue to develop our business in the Tohoku region in the future. Our business-based development, job creation, and business stability over 20 years are highly appreciated by local governments, and they ask us to open offices in their city. It's not that we decide to go where we want to. In this respect, we are confident that we can continue to open new bases regularly in the future. Even if we open centers upon their request, it takes 3 to 4 years for us to select a site and develop a plan for a center of value. Considering that, I think opening one center every 2 years is the fastest we can do now. If we could accelerate the process a little further, it would be likely to contribute more to the expansion of our business. Thank you. That concludes the questions from Mr. Nakagawa. Thank you, Mr. Nakagawa. There seem to be no more questions. We now close questions both from the audience and online. CEO Tamagami, General Manager of the IR Team Yoshizawa, everyone at Prestige International, thank you very much for your briefing today.